sparring a little bit, just like messing with me, right?
She went over and broke her knees.
So
I would have done.
they said that.
I feel like we should almost redo the intro to make it more smooth.
Okay, let's do it.
You think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm Dane, and this is my father, Mark,
I'm Mark.
with Mark Brower Properties.
Mark of Mark Brower Properties.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay.
Even though you've seen him the most, you need some background, some credibility for him.
Okay, so humble brag. Why should you care what I have to say? I don't know, because I want to help you. I actually want to make your life better. And I don't even know you. And that might sound weird. But I'm actually at a point in my life where that matters to me more than just trying to extract everything I can out of every relationship. I want to give. So, Mark Brower, humble brag. I own a company called Mark Brower Properties. We do about $2 million in annual revenue, manage over 500 rental properties, help investors buy rental properties. My wife and I own, Dane's mom, and my wife and I own 5 rental homes ourselves. Combined net worth, if you include my business value and my rental properties, over $5 million. I drive a Tesla Model 3 Performance and I love it. I run ultra marathons, which means I really enjoy going out into the desert, running for 12 hours straight. I've run 300-kilometer races. That's 62.2 miles. And this last year, I beat my PR at that distance by 80 minutes. Super stoked about that. I don't know. What else? I'm 45. You are 19.
19. Well, no, I'm going to be 20 in 12 days.
12 days, man.
Yeah, not good.
You are graduating from the teenage years.
Yeah. I had my free trial from 18 to 20, and now my free trial is about to be done.
Free trial.
Yeah, my free adult trial's over.
Free adult trial's over? Does that mean I kick your A out of this house?
Yeah.
Spread your wings. Okay, what's your humble brag? Why should anybody listen to you?
Probably shouldn't. I'm just like the person watching this video right now. I'm learning with them. But also I'm just his son. So then I'm like, yeah. But you can listen to me about things regarding the gym. Because I've gone to the gym pretty consistently for 2 years, which isn't a long time. But I guarantee you it'll be for
a lot
longer. And I graduated high school with my associate's degree, kind of. And then I haven't really done any college after high school. And I ran a 4-hour marathon from couch to whatever. What did you say?
Couch to marathon.
Yeah, couch to marathon 4 hours when I was in high school.
Like no serious build-up, no like huge training.
Basically, the longest distance I had ran in my life before that was 10 miles during cross-country season. And then, yeah.
Just pulled out a marathon. Back pocket.
Just real quick.
Real quick about Dane's marathon. I remember I ran the same marathon he did, same day. That was the day I Boston qualified, ran a 3-hour, 2-minute marathon. Super proud of that when I was 42, 43. And then I hung out for another hour, waited for Dane to finish. Dane was sitting on the curb. Walked over to him. He looked pretty miserable. He looks up at me and he says, "That was the worst decision I've ever made in my life."
Yeah. Or no, I said that's the hardest thing I've ever done.
That's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
And I remember at the very end, like I was hurting so badly I couldn't even imagine. Like I can't even imagine right now how bad it was. Like worst pain ever. And it wasn't really like my lungs. Like my lungs were exhausted, but like anaerobically, right? Mm-hmm. That's anaerobic.
Yeah, I mean,
like anaerobically, I could have kept going for sure. But at like mile 18, I like had to like stop. Like I hadn't stopped the entire time until mile 18. And then I stopped because the joints in my knees, like the cartilage was just freaking gone. It was just like bone on bone. and it was like such like terrible pain. So then I walked a little bit and then like kept running, and then towards the end it was kind of like I would have gone faster if I was walking, but I was like almost running in place, moving very slowly. And then I saw an elderly woman running, and then I stuck next to her and finished the race with her. And that was like within the last 2 miles, because she was like, come on, keep going. And then I was like, oh my gosh, some 7-year-old lady's like telling me to keep going. So then I just stuck with her the rest of the time. I'm like, her joints probably hurt more than mine right now, so I have no excuse. And then, then I was sick for the next 2 weeks, like very ill.
So I have a question about your marathon. Why didn't you, why didn't you stop in the middle of it? I mean, in that much pain, like what was the point?
Oh, like why didn't I give up?
Yeah.
Oh, that was out of the question. My mom was texting me during the race saying, hey, Andrea can pick you up. She's right by you if you want. Like, just like being Satan, trying to tempt me. And I was like, heck no. Because I just would have felt like the biggest loser in the world. Some people probably would have just been like, oh yeah, fine. I would, well, like it wouldn't have been a super big deal for them. But I'm pretty competitive, so I didn't want to feel like a loser to myself after that.
So was it about...
I would look back right now and just like try to erase that from my brain. I would like, oh, that's one of the saddest things I've ever done, was give up at mile 18 during a marathon. That would have been the most loser thing I can imagine.
So is that about self-respect?
No.
Were you trying to impress other people? I mean, it didn't seem like you were running it for other people. Why did you do that?
Because I just said I was going to. It wasn't for self-respect, really. It was like, yeah, just so when I look back, it's not something I'm disappointed in myself about, and I'm just like, okay, nice, I did it.
So is that in a way, is that kind of part of life? Like we do things as building blocks. Like you say, when you look back on that, like I read in a book, there's certain experiences in our lives, and they're called crucible experiences, that they like form us. They forge who we become. Was that one for you?
Yeah. I actually don't really know. I just really didn't want to feel like a loser. So maybe it was self-respect then.
There was I can relate. There was a race I ran. The first time I ran a 100-kilometer race, and I didn't really know how to run a 100-kilometer race. I mean, who does, right? Something that you have to learn by experience, how to run a 100-kilometer race.
So that's like 66 miles, right?
62.2 miles. And I had read all these books and listened to all these podcasts and heard all these guys talking about running 100-mile races, 50-mile races, these 100K, 62-mile races. And I thought at that time that, well, this is really going to hurt bad, and you just got to embrace the suck, and you just got to do it. And no matter how bad it hurts, you just keep pushing, and you just push deeper and deeper into that, and you just never stop. That's what I thought was going to be required for success. And so when I got 42 miles in and I was feeling absolutely destroyed, I thought, well, this is what it is. Let's keep going. So then I pushed another 10 miles. And by that time, I was trying to run, but I was vomiting and dry heaving at the same time over and over. And I remember, and it was getting dark because I'd run all day. It was getting dark. And this lady that I'm like running behind her, and she's just looking over her shoulder like, who's this guy like throwing up over and over? And they have these things called aid stations that are set up every 5 miles or so you can get water and nutrients. And I remember I just told myself I got to get to this aid station. And I get in there and I'm just absolutely wrecked. And I sit down because I'm super nauseous, and I'm thinking like, okay, I got to get I got to get some nutrients in me. Well, within 3 to 4 minutes of sitting down, I start getting cold because when you're running, anyway, long story short, I was on my back for an hour and 15 minutes in the medic tent at that aid station, crying to my pacer that I'm done, have him take me in, have him drive me to the finish line. I was 10 miles away and I wanted to give up. And I told him over and over and over, I said, I had reverted back to my animal brain, and it was telling me, look, if you get out of this cot and you go even walk into the darkness of that desert right now, you're going to be no good to anybody sitting on the ground on the side of the trail, throwing up over and over. That's what my animal brain told me to give up. And I told my pacer, they let you take a pacer for safety. Pacer, just a buddy that runs with you the last 20 miles. Told him over and over, I was done. And he kept saying, man, I think you need to get up. You're really going to regret this tomorrow. Get up. You got this. Come on, get up. And I said, you have no idea how I feel. It was arguing with him. And it's really messed up because 3 days before that, I was telling all my running friends, I said, I'm going to finish this thing no matter what, even if I have to crawl to the finish line. To go from that to being on your back, like whining that they need to drive you in.
Who's your pacer?
Jacob.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I thought it was the guy that was in our ward.
You know what got me off my butt? Did I tell you this story before?
Yeah, I think so.
My pacer reads a text message from our coach. We had the same running coach. And by the way, there'd been other text messages coming in from other friends, knowing that I was in the medic tent, trying to encourage me to get up and go. I even had a running friend say, hey, I'll drive out there. It's an hour drive. I'll drop everything I'm doing. I'll drive out there. I'll meet up with you, whatever I need to do. Nothing was working until we got a text from our coach, and my coach said, tell Mark to get up and walk it in. And as soon as he read that, something clicked in my brain, and I thought, if my coach says I can do this, I'm going to have to do what he says. So that's the power of having a coach in your life.
Yeah.
That's the power of having somebody that's been there before, that knows better than you do what's possible, and can tell you when you lack the confidence, can tell you, no, this can work, push, get up now. So I did. I got up, freaking started walking off into the desert, felt like I was going to throw up and wind up in the fetal position on the ground next to the trail. But actually, that's not what happened at all.
Did you run?
What happened just absolutely blew my mind. I went from being in the depths of despair and pain to walking for half a mile. And then, I didn't need to get so detailed in this story, but what happened is this lady who I had met before the race started passed me with her pacer, and they were laughing, and they said, are you going to let a little old lady pass you at this point in the race?
Really?
Yeah.
It was an old lady?
I mean, she was a little bit older than me, but they were taunting me, and
not to be jerks, to encourage you?
I mean, just kind of sparring a little bit, just like messing with me, right?
So you went over and broke her knees.
So
I would have done.
So they said that, and I'm sitting there, and you got to imagine this is like pitch dark. So you've got a headlamp on that's lighting the trail right in front of you. And so I'm watching them as they're talking and they're jogging and they're jogging into the finish line. We had like 9 miles left at that point, maybe 9.5. And I see their headlamps ahead of me, and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? Like, what? I had committed that I was going to not let that lady pass me specifically during that race. And there she was laughing at me as she passed.
What'd you do about that? Personally, I wouldn't take that. Just kidding.
So the crazy thing is, as I walked, I started feeling better and better. My body heated up, so I wasn't so cold. Just everything started moving, and my body got back into like production mode. And So I started feeling better the more I moved, which is crazy. But now I know when I feel that way during a race, I cannot stop moving. So that's a lesson learned, right? Really painful, difficult lesson learned. Couldn't have learned that any other way. So I start walking. A walking turns into a shuffle. Shuffle turns into a slow jog. And I could still see their headlamps ahead of me. And I'm like, they're not getting any further away. So I like fixed the position where they were at and where I was at. And I maintained their same pace. Then I'm starting to feel better. Then I start jogging a little bit faster. I catch up to them. I come up behind them. And of course, I say, did you think I was going to let a couple of ladies pass me at this point in the race? They start laughing. So we ran together for about a mile. And as I'm running, I'm feeling better and better and better.
At that point, you could not let them pass you again after that.
100%. No.
Imagine you like crash again and then they see you on the ground and pass you just thrown up. And they're like, oh, great. That would have been good. Anyway.
So I'm running and suddenly I'm feeling like, okay, well, I'm following these ladies, but I'm feeling good. So my brain's telling me just, hey, you're stronger than they are. You're faster. Pass. And eventually I passed them. And then it was on, man. Like they were right on my butt, right? Because they were thinking the same thing I was. We'd run all day long. They weren't going to let me bury them at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to put my foot on the accelerator and pick up the pace. And bottom line is, we rallied. My pacer and we rallied. And I ran faster in the last 8 miles of that race than I had run all day. Like the fastest paces that I had recorded all day in those last 8 miles, and it was absolutely incredible.
Was she picking up the pace too?
No, I destroyed her.
Dang. Like what pace were you at the very end?
Well, you got to understand with these races, like if you're doing under 15-minute miles, you're going up and down hills. You're on dirt, which is requires a lot more effort to run on than cement or
people use literal ski sticks when they're running these races.
Little hiking poles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those races. Like they're a little goat on the side of a mountain just trotting.
We're out in the middle of the desert.
They're going up and down more than they are
elevation. I think for that race, there's a total of 5,000 feet climbing and descending over the 60 miles, 62 miles. Anyway, so if you're doing 15-minute miles or faster over that entire distance, you're doing pretty good. But at the end of that race, I was under 9-minute mile pace, which I hadn't been at all day.
Say, like you hit like 10-minute mile, 11-minute miles.
No, yeah, it was incredible.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
I don't think I could run 2 miles right now at a 9-minute pace.
I'm sure you could.
I was playing basketball the other day with Jared, and I was just winded. Like so fast.
I hate that feeling.
Well, but if I'm getting winded doing something that's like a sport, like I'll just feel myself get like get like asthma really, really bad.
Yeah.
Get very, 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 very winded.
Okay.
And then just keep pushing through because it's almost like when you're a kid and you're doing something really fun, but you have to pee really bad, and you're just like, you completely block it out of your mind, because whatever you're doing is more fun than needing to go pee.
Yeah.
So then you just don't. That's like how it is with playing sports for me and being winded. But like if I'm running, that's the only thing I'm thinking about, and it's so hard to not stop. Running is significantly harder than working out, I think.
You think?
A lot of people, it's actually like 50-50. A lot of people disagree with that.
Is that picking up in the camera?
What?
The tissue?
No.
Okay, so what you were saying that you think running's harder than working out?
For me, running is harder than working out, but a lot of people disagree. But basically, I think everybody should pick one of those two things. I don't think there should be any exceptions. I think everybody in the entire world, especially if you're a man and you're watching this, you need to either be doing something. You need to be doing something every single day consistently, like either running or going to the gym every day. If you're going to the gym every single day, you shouldn't really go actually 7 days a week. You should go like 5 to 6 days a week. but you should do probably same with running, but you should do one of those two things every single day, no matter what. No excuses, because I think men need to. Women, it doesn't matter as much, because working out actually for women is like kind of bad for you. Like, you're not supposed to really go crazy lifting weights and stuff, but I think it improves your mental health a lot and your drive a little bit.
I can second that. So for me, when I was in college, I remember the year that I look back, the 1 year that I was the most productive in college, in my early 20s, was the year that I took a full schedule in college, worked a full-time job, and trained for a marathon in 1 year. And I look back at, like, if this was a graph of my life, like, and it was definitely trending up, but in that year, it was like, boom, like 2x, 3x, like the acceleration, just in all aspects. So sometimes people think like, oh man, my schedule's so busy. I'm just like, I can't overcommit. Well, I remember in that year in college, that year in my life, I was so committed to training for this marathon program. This is before the internet. So like, I just found some program in a book or something, that there were times on Friday night at 10:30 at night when I hadn't yet done my long run. Maybe Saturday night. I did my long runs on Saturday, and I had to go out and run 12 or 13 miles. And I would start at 10:30 at night while a car full of girls was like, and I was single at the time. They're like, hey, come hang out with us. Hey, what are you doing? You know, and I'd be like, hey, yeah, maybe after my run. And I would go do my freaking run and get done at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody was just hanging out and having fun.
Really? What school is this at?
I went to ASU.
Oh, yeah.
At that time.
Oh, yeah. ASU's the party school. So they were bad, huh?
No. They were girls from my church.
Oh, just kidding. Oh, really? They weren't at ASU?
I can't remember. I mean, some of them were probably going to MCC, some ASU.
Oh,
just randomly.
I thought you were like running around the campus.
Oh no, these are girls that I knew that in my neighborhood. But it's also the same.
That was the devil right there.
That was the devil.
Women trying to get you. Hey, stop being productive and a man. Come hang out with us. And it's like, oh, the natural man really badly just wants to hang out with women. But that's a terrible, terrible idea.
You know, sometimes women want you to do stuff, and
they're testing you.
Absolutely testing you, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, they don't even know it most of the time.
Whether they know it or not, a woman. I'm not an expert in. I'm not an expert on women, but I've been married for 22 years. No man is an expert on women, so I've got as much credibility as any other man. 100% believe that a woman has to test their man because they have to know if they're safe with him.
Mm. And another thing is, you can't say those words to the woman. Most of the things you talk about regarding women with other men, you can't ever talk about to the woman that you're dating or married to. Because a lot of times I feel like even guys, they'll talk to their woman and sometimes they expect a conversation like they're talking to one of the boys,
like a rational.
Yeah. If you're going and trying to have a rational conversation, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I'll try and talk to her about something like, yeah, something I've noticed about women is this. Like, I'm just talking to one of the boys and it's just like, what? That's completely, what are you talking about? I'm a woman. I would know. And it's like, yeah, you can't talk about a lot of things.
It's virtually impossible to rationalize female and male behavior in an informal conversation with your woman, because inherently the perspectives are so different that unless this woman has dedicated her life to understanding the differences between the sexes, there's going to be an extremely different perspective on most things.
Yeah.
And a man will conclude certain things about a woman's behavior. And if he says that conclusion to the woman, it's inherently coming from the man's brain. So because it's coming from his brain, it doesn't make any sense to the woman usually.
Yeah. And another thing that doesn't make sense with women is if she's like talking to you about some problem she has or something like that, and she's really stressing out about it, your brain immediately goes to finding solutions to that problem, you know, and you start just like firing solutions that you know will help, you know. It's like the analogy where there's a nail in a woman's forehead, and then she's talking to her husband like, oh, my forehead hurts so bad. What is it? Like, it hurts so bad. And then he's like, well, if you would take the nail out. She was like, no, I don't need you to try and give me solutions. It just, it hurts so bad. And then he keeps trying to tell her, like, just take the nail out of your forehead. But really, most of the time, women don't want solutions to their problems. They want comfort. So if you literally straight up ask and say, hey, are you looking for solutions or comfort right now? It sounds like almost like an a-hole question, but like for some reason, they actually are like, oh, I'm looking for comfort right now. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like, it actually helps.
A lot of the things that women say, if you added the words, right now I feel like, to the beginning of the sentence, it will make more sense for the man.
Yeah.
Okay, back to running, working out. I 100% agree that every man should be doing something physically difficult regularly.
Yep.
And I don't know why fully, but it makes a massive difference in the quality of life. Massive.
Yeah.
For me, it's running. And running isn't difficult. Training, actually, I used to think like, well, you just got to run. You got to train hard. You got to go hard, and you got to deal with the pain. You got to push through the pain. It's actually not the case when you do endurance training. Most of the time, 80% of the time, you're running pretty chill.
Yeah.
But
with working out, that's not how it really goes. Working out, you want to experience true muscle failure on pretty much everything you do, which is actually kind of similar to running, because like when you're running, like, okay, when you get to like 6 reps on something and your muscles like they're like start to fail and just give out, you actually have like another 6 reps, but it's just hard to access that. Like, you have to like convince your brain like, no, like if I was about to die right now, I could do another 6 of these. And then you like just go into rage mode.
so working out is generally a lot more intense than running, especially if you're training for endurance running. If you're a sprinter, you're going to be doing some really high intensity stuff.
The title of this video will be
Sniffles.
it'll be training women and money.
Training women and money. So the difference, okay, so what's interesting, we're talking about the difference between working out and running.
But what about Pilates?
Training your body, training your physique, your muscles, versus training your endurance system.
How do you train your brain? Is that what you were going to talk about?
Well, obviously you have to train your brain to expect to put forth a certain amount of effort over a sustained period of time if you're going to work out or do endurance training. And actually, it's an interesting question, because I believe since 80% of the work that you do when you're training for ultras is easy running, just volume of easy running, training your brain is probably the most important piece, because it requires an incredible amount of patience. There's so many runs where if my brain's too active, I'm just thinking like, okay, get this over with already. Nope, you got to run for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you have to go into a meditative state. Do you go into a meditative state when you work out?
Yeah, when I'm at the gym, I feel high. Like afterwards, I was like I'm walking out of the gym, and then I'm like driving home, and I'm like, whoa. I almost kind of don't remember that. That was like kind of like a fever dream. Or I'll hit the last thing of my workout, and then it'll be done, and then I'll just be like, I'll feel the entire weight of the world coming back, and I'm like, oh no, I just want to stay here actually. Because the gym is an escape. And it's replacing one hard thing. It's replacing one hard thing with another hard thing that's actually not as hard, which is going to the gym.
So do you agree with this statement? When you do something extremely hard physically, all the other burdens in life get a little bit lighter.
No, it just mutes them for a little bit. It turns down the volume for a little bit.
And then it comes right back the same?
Yeah.
See, I have a different experience.
Well, actually, no, because if I wasn't doing it at all, then it would be more, obviously. Yeah. But maybe it's just because 2 hours of that taken out of my day, I'm not. Yeah.
It's like you get to push pause on all the other stress for 2 hours. So it's kind of like a break in a way.
Yeah. I think everybody should have a hobby. So like going to the gym is my hobby, and his hobby is running. So maybe it doesn't actually have to be going to the gym, but you should still do one of those either way. But like if you go and play pool once a week or something like that, if you don't have a hobby, you're going to be sad. You're going to be real sad. Every single person in the entire world should have a hobby.
Well, you should definitely do something that expresses your creativity. You need a physical outlet, a creative outlet, a social, emotional outlet.
Yeah, like you should just go to, if you're kind of like missing that, literally pull up to a billiard hall. Go to a billiard hall and play pool, even by yourself for like an hour. And it is so fun. And then just ask a random fat guy who's there, and he's like a few beers deep, just be like, yo, you want to play some pool? And he'll be like, yep. And then you'll make a friend right there.
Instant friend.
And then play some pool. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, and we're going to post every week.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
To cram.
We want to help you. We want to improve your life.
Have a good day, and